A crazy new LTM, we got the news on that. The helicopter has moved around, as well as a potential clue of where it is moving. We got news on that as well. Something that may connect Dire to one of the recent skins that came out. We got news on that too. Welcome back, guys, to another video. It is time to go over all of the update news we have, for today. And we have got so many amazing things to go over. It's seriously going to be an amazing video. But before we get into that, I have a pretty, interesting announcement. Face reveal. I know a lot of you have been asking for something like that. Technically, I have, put my face in videos before. But if you guys are curious, I do have things planned for that, like face cam stuff and things like that. And I'll go over the details about that later in the video, as well as how I've been streaming on Twitch recently with a face cam. So we'll go over stuff about that as well. But yeah, guys, be sure to leave a comment down below and also like the video if you would like to see face cam on some of my videos. I think it could be a lot of fun, but I'd love to see your guys' feedback. So hit that like button if you would like to see that, and also leave a comment down below. I appreciate it a ton, guys. And without further ado, let's jump on into it with the first thing I want to talk about in today's video. So let's start off with like the overall thing of what is the next update and when is it likely going to be, because I think we're starting to maybe get the hang of when these updates have been coming out. They recently have seemed to, change when they release updates. Maybe we'll have to wait like a couple more updates to see if maybe we do indeed have this consistent pattern to go off of. But as of right now, I think it's still a pretty likely guess. However, we do know that the very next update is going to be the 8.20 update, and that it is going to be next week. So we'll get into the specifics of when it is likely going to come out, like which day. But as of right now, we do for sure know that it is, again, 8.20, and it is coming next week. Now, this information comes from Dan on Reddit, one of the Epic Games employees. But in regards to something that we'll talk more about later in the video, he had replied, should be fixed in 8.20 next week. So that by itself is pretty official, and it does make sense. And again, since it is going from 8.11, which is the current patch number, and then it's going up to 8.20 when it jumps up to from like 0.1 to 0.2, that's usually when they add like a big update with a ton of stuff. So next update should be pretty big if it continues to follow that pattern, which should be a ton of fun. Hopefully we see like a new weapon or something like that. I don't know, but there should be a lot of other fun stuff as well, maybe some map changes. But yeah, then jumping into it with like when the update could likely come out, my guess is personally that it would come out Tuesday. It could also come out Wednesday, but judging how the 8.10 update was released on a Tuesday, I think that's our most likely bet. Again, like the smaller updates have seemed to release on Wednesdays, but I think maybe that's the pattern. Maybe the smaller updates come out on Wednesdays and maybe the bigger updates on Tuesdays. We'll have to wait and see for some of the next couple weeks, and maybe that pattern confirms itself a little bit more. But as of right now, I think Tuesday's the likely date, and then for the time, probably 5 a.m. Eastern time. That seems to be the consistent date that these updates, at least for like downtime, starts to happen, whether or not it's a big update or a small update, at least judging from like some of the previous updates. So yeah, there you guys go for that. Definitely going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what more is going to be in there. But after that, guys, something really interesting I want to talk about here is actually a potential connection between Dire and Hybrid. Now, this is pretty crazy because, well, these two skins are, seasons apart. I think Dire came out in season 6, and then of course Hybrid came out in season 8 this season. So them being connected in some way sounds pretty interesting. But yeah, it's just a little piece of news that I thought you guys would like to hear about. So basically, if you take a look at Hybrid, obviously something we've talked about before is how he has this symbol on the side of his shoulder pad, which is like, the snake or dragon type symbol on the side of it. However, Dire has something very, very similar to this as well. And also thanks to AM Mimios on Reddit for pointing this out. But yeah, if you take a look at the skin Dire, specifically take a look at like the nunchucks, whatever you call them, that he has like on his belt or something like that. But if you take a look at that, it is oddly similar, like really oddly similar to that symbol that is on the shoulder pad of Hybrid. Obviously, it's long, it sort of looks like a snake slash dragon, but the other things about it are like specifically the head is fairly similar, as you can see. But the thing I think that sticks out even more is that like both have those spines on the back. So who knows, maybe they could be connected in some way. I mean, they both are like animal type skins, with Hybrid being like a lizard and Dire is obviously like a more of a werewolf. But either way, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, for sure, I thought I had to bring it up. All right, guys, but moving on to the next thing or little piece of news I wanted to go over. I did want to go into game. As you can see, we are in the playground lobby. I wanted to go into game to show this to you because it is pretty interesting, and I wanted to, actually, what's the word for it? Like just go very detailed into it and exactly what is happening. So you may know what I'm talking about, and let's just go straight into the rifts if you want to see this yourself. As of right now, you would want to go into the Polar Peak one, I believe. Yes, Polar Peak. So we go into there. And then as we're dropping in over here, basically what this has to do with is the helicopter. As you guys know, the helicopter has been something that's been talked about a lot. It's been moving around the map like crazy. It's probably the biggest thing that we know about the story so far in Season 8, and we really don't know much about Season 8's story. We know that the prisoner and the Ice King are doing crazy stuff. There might be a Kraken type monster. And by the way, if you want to watch my theory about the Kraken monster possibly coming into the game, go down below in the description and click the video link down there, or I will leave a comment to it as well. It's a good video. We talk about a bunch of theories about stuff in Season 8, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, the helicopters, and as you can see, I'm going up here over towards Happy Hamlet because this is the most recent spot that the helicopter has moved to. As you can see, it is up there. If we go onto the map, it is to the southeast. Right down there. Yeah, southeast. I always got to remember, never eat soggy waffles. That's how you remember the directions. But yeah, let's go on up here and build up to it because I want to take a closer look. Also, this chest is a little bit odd right now. I don't know why that is. But yeah, taking a closer look at this again, and we talked about this, I believe, as well in the theory video, but there's some other things I want to talk about. Obviously, yeah, it moved here. It seems to be moving like it started over towards the jungle, and it's been sort of moving clockwise around the map. For a while, it was in Paradise Palms over there. I think also maybe somewhere in that area too, but it seems to be moving around. So with that being said, if it's moving, you know, this way, is it going to end up more so over here? Now, something interesting is maybe this, you know, thing right here. This telescope. Does this telescope mean anything important? Because for one, I can't remember if the telescope was on the helicopter that was in Dusty Divot. And again, we talked about all that stuff, how the helicopter is very similar to the one in Dusty Divot in one of my previous videos, the theory one. But yeah, take a look at this telescope. So if we line it up, where is the telescope looking towards? So slowly up here, it seems to be looking towards Polar Peak. Now, does that mean anything? I'm not sure. There's nothing really behind Polar Peak. I guess technically Viking Village, it could be looking over towards there as well because our marker's a little bit to the right of it, but still, it's pretty close. And like there you can see I moved it a little bit more, and also, you know, over here, that's actually like right in line, that area where it got like changed from Vikings Village. So maybe that has something to do with it. But either way, I did want to go into detail with that in today's video because it's probably one of the most interesting things we have to talk about, you know, in terms of the Season 8 story. What is going to happen? What happens if this helicopter gets fully around the map? But something I wanted to bring up. So let's keep it going here with more update news for sure, guys. And actually, real quick before we get into that, as I said earlier, yes, I'm planning on doing more face cam type stuff, and as of right now I am streaming on Twitch with a face cam, so if you want to check that out, there will be a link down below in the description, or you can just go on Twitch. My channel is TheLlamaSir, same name as here on YouTube, but I'm using that as a way to, you know, test out face cam maybe for videos and stuff like that. And also it's an awesome way to like hang out with you guys. I get to talk with you and chat. Maybe I'll do some creative lobbies coming up if we can figure that out. Also, I'm hoping custom matchmaking comes back soon, so be sure to check that out, link down below in the description. Drop a follow, it's a lot of fun. And let's get into the next thing I wanted to go over in today's video, and that is something that's a little bit odd. So basically, this seemed to be a bug that showed up, but I'm wondering if it actually has like some other meaning, you know, moving forward. So basically, a user on Reddit by the name of KyoCow posted a picture, and it was basically a screenshot of, you know, the main menu screen, except it said, you know, under solo, there was actually something that said limited pool with like a little icon next to it. You know, pretty basic, but you know, what exactly does that mean? What does limited pool mean, and why would it show up? Now, it turns out this was just a visual bug because there was actually a comment made on this post by Dan, one of the Epic Games employees, and he says this is a visual only issue that will be addressed in the next build. However, still though, why is this even, you know, a thing? Why is it showing up as a limited pool unless they have plans for it to maybe add it to something in the future? I don't know. So as of right now, we don't know what it means or what its purpose is. Maybe limited pool means like there's not many people playing a select mode, and that would make sense, but then it wouldn't be that special. But maybe on the other side of it, maybe it's, you know, a game mode with not a ton of players in it, like we saw with Detonation. Even though it was in creative, it was a mode for not a ton of players at once. So maybe that's what this means. Either way, I wanted to bring it up because it's pretty interesting and nobody really knows the purpose of it right now. So yeah, but let's keep it going here with the next thing I want to talk about, which is one of the biggest things we need to go over, and that is a potential like insane custom LTM coming to the game game soon, or eventually. We don't exactly know when it would be coming into the game. We just know that it's, well, coming soon. So basically, there's a lot of details to go over here, but this is looking to be a type of LTM way different from anything we've ever had in the past. So basically, the info from this comes from, well, a news article by Fortnite of this new contest, which is basically an LTM contest. And LTM, as you guys know, means limited time mode. So basically, it's the LTM creator contest. That seems to be the name for it. And at first, you may be thinking, oh, maybe that's not that special, but this could mean like a very, very crazy mode. Like, we've already seen some insane modes in, you know, creative, like the walls. You know, that mode from Minecraft where there was like 4 different sections and then you had time to loot up and then like the walls drop down. I remember seeing somebody build that, so maybe we could see something like that come into the game. As an LTM, you can actually play, you know, from the menu, I believe. But getting into the details of it, or at least some of the details, if you want to like know how to submit a map, definitely check out the official news page for it. But like some of the basics, in case you were just curious, like of what could possibly happen, some of the recommendations they had were like for a 4v4v4v4, which could definitely be pretty cool. That would fit in with like the walls. Also, they had like 8v8, pretty basic, 4v12 or 15v1, maybe a Thanos like mode, something like that. So yeah, that definitely could be pretty unique. And then also with that, I would assume that it maybe would have to be on a custom map, maybe or maybe not. Nothing says specifically, but like some of the examples they gave is Avalanche, which is like a map where a bunch of ATKs and stuff fall down this like ice thing and you have to like climb up it, I believe. Also, Scissors Slide Challenge, something like that. Those are some of the examples they gave. So who knows, we could be seeing something like that, but I'm excited, guys. Again, a 4v4v4 mode on a custom creative map or something like that could be very, very cool. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not exactly sure what the dates are for how long this will be up, but it does say that the contest period ends on April 8, obviously 2019, at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So I would assume that the game mode would come out sometime after that. So yeah, guys, definitely pretty cool. I'm excited for that. But moving on to the next thing I want to talk about, this actually has to do with the worm emote. As you know, in season 8, something pretty new as of like items and stuff like that has been traversal emotes. It started with a conga as a part of the battle pass, and then recently we got the new emote. I forget the name of it, but it's like the marching one. I'll put it up on screen so you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we got these brand new emotes and stuff like that. So, you know, the question has come up, what about making traversal versions of some of the previous emotes that we've had? And like, for example, one idea was like the worm emote. What if this emote was traversal and you could like move around the map with it? That would be pretty hilarious. But unfortunately, according to Mr. Popo TFS, in response to a post about, I think it was like if you have a chiller or something like that, or maybe you're on the ice, you could use the worm emote and move around with it. But he said something along the lines of, as fun as this looks, this is obviously not intentional. We're actively working on a fix for this issue, thanks. Which makes it seem that maybe, you know, like the worm emote will not be traversal, in case you were curious. Maybe he's only talking about like the icy effect of like moving fairly fast with it. So I guess it still could be up in the air that maybe the worm emote would be traversal. But either way, it asks an interesting question, so there you go. And then for the final thing I wanted to talk about just real quick, if you've noticed that spectator bug where like the spectators don't go away and you have like a ton of people watching you supposedly by the end of the game, that is a bug, and that's what Dan responded to and said should be fixed in 8.20 next week. So yeah, guys, just something to keep in mind. I'm glad that's fixed. It's a little bit, you know, odd. You never really know when somebody's spectating you and when they're not. So there you go. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. On top of that, you can check out some of my other videos here, such as my last video, my week 4 challenges guide, and then on the right, it'll be my most recent video, so be sure to check that out. Other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.